Two West Virginia National Guard members shot Wednesday near the White House have died, the state's governor said. Governor Patrick Morrisey confirmed their deaths in a social media post. A suspect, now in custody, was also shot and has injuries that are not believed to be life-threatening, according to a law enforcement official not authorized to discuss the matter publicly and who spoke to on condition of anonymity.
Well, I was headed to get lunch, and I got up to 17th and I Street and was going to take a right. And as soon as I got up 17th and I Street, we heard like rapid gunshots. So myself and other people started to run back down I Street. There were also like a UPS truck that like was speeding by too. And we got about halfway down I Street towards 18th, and we stopped because everything was quiet. So we thought maybe it was construction going on. No, it certainly didn't sound like that. But then we started walking back, and then we heard more gunfire. So we ran down the street, and then about a minute later, we still weren't completely convinced that it was gunfire. So I walked back to the corner, and I only saw one police car there. So I figured it couldn't be anything. So I walked up and I saw they had a person pinned on the ground yelling at him to stay down. And there was broken glass in the bus stop, and then they moved, like it was some sort of construction vehicle or something along those lines, and they moved the vehicle, and that's when we saw two National Guards on the ground, and one they were trying to resuscitate. And then at that point, it was still even a couple of minutes before there was any response. Like they didn't have anything closed off, and it was kind of surreal, to be honest with you. And it took us a couple of minutes to realize how serious the situation was. Not really, didn't see blood. I think it was a little bit too far for that being across the street. However, we did hear them like working on somebody, and like they were doing chest compressions on one of the National Guard men. And then there was another one that was on the ground that looked like he was a little bit closer to the suspect. I mean, it was probably like 3 minutes or so before a couple showed up here and there, and then probably 3 or 4 minutes before like there was even a major response. Then a lot of people started coming. The EMTs came, and it's pretty much how it happened. Well, I mean, I feel terrible for the National Guardmen. I mean, they were ordered to be here. They didn't ask for anything like this. And I'm sure a lot of them would rather not be here to begin with. And, I did see a couple of guardsmen hugging each other that were very, very upset. And, it's hard to see that. One of their colleagues, I guess, was, injured so badly. And, I mean, it's going to bring a narrative, and I'm a little bit concerned that, this city is going to have much more of a military presence and much more of a police presence.
I saw the cop cars. I came down and I heard two National Guardsmen have been shot, and I heard someone else got shot, and it was a random attack. So we don't know what's going on right now. But
I was walking around and I was trying to get to the White House, and I see all the guns drawn, and I see all the weapons, and I see all the Secret Service out, and I was like, okay, something happened. So what happened? So we just keep walking around, and we came up at the spot, and we saw the Secret Service guys and the troopers, or the National Guard guys out there. So it's a pretty scary scene. You don't see it every day.
Fellow Americans, earlier today, on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, two members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. They had been deputized as part of the most successful public safety and national security mission in the history of our nation's capital, the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force, which has achieved an unprecedented reduction in violent crime and crimes of all type. This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. The hearts of all Americans tonight are with those two members of the West Virginia National Guard and their families. The love of our entire country is pouring out for them, and we are lifting them up in our prayers. As we are filled with anguish and grief for those who were shot, we're also filled with righteous anger and ferocious resolve. As President of the United States, I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021 on those infamous flights that everybody was talking about. Nobody knew who was coming in. Nobody knew anything about it. His status was extended under legislation signed by President Biden, a disastrous president, the worst in the history of our country. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world, from places that you don't want to even know about. No country can tolerate such a risk to our very survival. An example is Minnesota, where hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state. Billions of dollars are lost, and gangs of Somalians come from a country that doesn't even have a government, no laws, no water, no military, no nothing. As their representatives in our country preach to us about our Constitution and how our country is no good. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling. That is why tonight I can announce that I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will make America totally safe again, and we will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that. During this time of the year, when we gather at home with loved ones, these two patriots were wearing the uniform of our country, patrolling the streets of our capital. They had taken a selfless oath to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is exactly what they were doing when they were gunned down in a savage attack. I want to express my extraordinary gratitude to every member of the United States military who is deployed tonight at home and abroad. I also want to thank the Secret Service and the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department for their work today. This Thanksgiving, I ask every family to say a prayer for the two great heroes who were so horribly shot, and for their loved ones. Please say a prayer. May God bless them and comfort them, and may God bless and protect the United States of America.